Hi, welcome to your favorite book review studio with your favorite host. I am happy to have you again here. If today is not your first time, but if today is your first time, oh, you are welcome. So welcome. Please like our content, subscribe to our channel, turn on your notification, share our contents as well. Your friends and your family will be glad that you shared this contents with them. So I hope you remember that we're still on the richest man in Babylon. So today we're going to jump straight into chapter 5. It is titled The Five Laws of Gold. So this chapter is about a man called Kelabab. Did I call his name right here? It's Kelabab. And he's 27 He was sharing wisdom about money with his 27 servants. Wisdom that he learned from a man called Nomasar. And guess who this man was? The son of our lovely Akkad. Let's see what the story has for us. So the chapter commences with a question Caleb was asking his 27 servants. He said, between a bag full of money, and perhaps a paper, written with some words of wisdom, which will you prefer? You already know what his servants chose. They chose the bag of money. That one is more important. So, for them, they thought it was what was more important. Our guy, what's his name now? Calabab. He laughed because he knew what their response would be. He said, just so it is with the sons of men. If you give men the choice of gold and wisdom, what do? They ignore wisdom and waste the gold. If you do not have wisdom, you shouldn't be desiring money because you waste it. That's, say, and tomorrow they will wail because they have no more gold. Wisdom will help you preserve gold. We said this like twice in the previous video that we posted. Remember we said that Nomasa was the guy who shared this wisdom with Kelabab, and Nomasa was Akkad's son. Now Akkad, our guy full of so much wisdom, when his son Nomasa had come to age, he sent this guy away and told him, he gave him good amount of money. I don't know how they measured it back in the day, but he gave him good amount of money. He said, I give you 10 years. If you can go and come back successful, then you can inherit my stuff. But if you cannot, I'm sorry, I'm going to do this, that with my wealth. So his son was determined to prove to his father that he is a worthy heir to all that Akkad had. So when he came back, a feast was held for him. And then in his opening statement, he said, thou gave me he was talking to his dad. People were around, it was a big feast. Akkad is a big guy, remember, the richest guy in Babylon. Now, Nomasa speaking, he said, thou gave me liberally of thy gold. Thou gave me liberally of thy wisdom. Now, that is true. Akkad didn't just give him money. Akkad also gave him a tablet also containing wisdom. So, if he had referred to this wisdom, he wouldn't have wasted the gold. But he, dived into spending the gold, and it was afterwards that he remembered, there was something that contained some inscriptions my dad gave me, and I never bothered to read it. But let us see how this story, unfolds. Said, thou gave me liberally of thy gold, thou gave me liberally of thy wisdom. Of the gold, alas, I must admit of a disastrous handling. It fled, indeed, from my inexperienced hands, even as a wild hare flees at the first opportunity from the youth who captures it. Money without wisdom is equivalent to poverty, because many will waste it no matter how much it is. I've seen people who inherited so much from their hardworking parents and it did not last 5 years. Some of those people died because of that money, because they lived recklessly and they eventually died. So you need wisdom to be able to manage money. I was told recently, I'm a Christian, sorry. I always like to say that. Okay, I'm not sorry, but I'm just saying for those who are non-Christians who watch this video, I always like to, put one or two things that I learned from, church and fellowship in here. My pastor told us recently, he said that miracle can bring money, but miracle cannot manage money. So you need wisdom to be able to manage money, and miracle does not manage money. Now, amongst Nomasa's reckless experiences were gambling, wrong investments, and all of that. And then he never remembered the tablet, like I said, until the day his money was gone. So wisdom will always save you from loss. Oh yes. So now he gave, in this tablet his dad gave him, was contained 5 laws of wealth. Basically, it's going to be familiar things that we had listed, in the previous chapters. But I would like, I don't like us to rush through our books. You have to have a peep of what everything or what the story is like. So here are the 5 laws. I'll read them quickly for us. It says, gold cometh gladly and in increasing quantity to any man who will put by not less than 1/10 of his earnings, that's 10% of his earnings, to create an estate for his future and that of his family. Number 2, gold laboreth diligently and contentedly for the wise owner who finds for it profitable employment, multiplying even as the flocks of the field. Number 3, gold clingeth to the protection of the cautious owner, who invests it under the advice of men wise in its handling. Number 4, gold slippeth away from the man who invests it in businesses or purposes with which he is not familiar or which are not approved by those skilled in its keep. Number 5, gold flees the man who would force it to impossible earnings, or who followeth the alluring advice of tricksters and schemers, or who trusts it to his own inexperience and romantic desires in investment. All these are familiar things that we had stated in the 7 cures to a lean purse. It has just been reduced to 5, from savings to investment to wealth protection to seeking professional advice and to running away from investment that have unbelievable profits. We have talked about all of these things. This was the wisdom contained in the tablet Nomasa was given by Akkad that he never read until all of his money was gone. After our guy Nomasa, Akkad's son, had lost all his money, we said that was when he remembered that they gave him some books of wisdom, tablets, don't mind me. So he now had to start from the scratch. But if he had, referred to the wisdom first, he wouldn't have lost his money. So he had to start from the scratch. He was hungry, he was broke. He took a job. And then he was lucky to get a supervising role. So the person who employed him noticed that he wasn't into lavish spending, because now he had learned wisdom and he's saving money. He's saving 1/10 at least. So the person told him, the guy noticed him and gave him an opportunity for investment. And this guy is a wealthy guy and has other wealthy friends. And this investment turned out great. And that was how he came back and was sharing his story with his father, how he went through all of that. So now I'd like to add that to him without knowledge, this was written in the book, I got it from the book, it said, to him without knowledge, gold comes not often. It rather goes away quickly. If you don't have knowledge, money will not come to you so often. But even the little that you have will leave you very, very quickly. And again, we also should remember that wealth that comes quickly goeth the same way. Good money is not as easy as you think it is. That's why we're advised against investing in businesses with unbelievable interest rates. Run for your money life. Okay. I would like to close this chapter by reading something from the book. It says, our wise acts accompany us through life to please us and to help us. Just as surely, our unwise acts follow us to plague and torment us. At last, they cannot be forgotten. In the front rank of the torments that do follow us are the memories of the things we should have done, regrets, of the opportunities which came to us and we took them not. When wisdom finally dawns on you, when it dawns on you that you had been foolish, you would have regrets. You'd be wishing you had done things that you were supposed to do that you didn't do. So my advice for everyone is to seek wisdom before you begin to seek money, because wisdom will preserve your money for you. So chapter 6 is titled The Gold Lender of Babylon. This chapter centers around something that is called windfall. There's this guy, his name was Rodan, and the name of the money lender was Mathan. Now, Rodan did a design. He's a craftsman. He did a design for the king and was given 50 pieces of gold. He has never made this kind of money in his entire life. In fact, he has just 3 years of business experience. I mean, from when he started his business to the day he was gifted the 50 pieces of silver. Was it silver or gold? Yeah, one of those. He had, for every year since he's been in business, he has saved 1 piece of gold. So it means he has saved just 3 pieces of gold in these 3 years of work, hard work. Not easy work, hard work. The king was impressed with his design. That was why the king gave him 50 pieces of gold as a gift. Now, people have the tendency to waste money that comes as a gift. By the way, a windfall, I would like to define it for us because I wrote it. A windfall, the kind of money that is called a windfall, is a large amount of money won or received unexpectedly. Say you won a lottery, somebody gifted you money, just like Rodan was gifted. Now, Rodan was worried. How am I going to invest this money? First of all, he had all the, should I buy a land? Should I buy a car? Should I do this? You know how you get money and you are all over the place in your thoughts as to what to do with the money. But he was lucky, or he was wise enough to go and consult Mathan, and Mathan was willing to help. One of the things that he wanted to do with the money, he had a sister, and his sister was married, and his sister's husband used to work with him. So the sister was telling him that, okay, he should give this money to her husband to make investment, blah, blah, blah. And he was worried, like he would have done it on his own if he did not go to consult Mathan. But he went to consult Mathan, and Mathan gave him good advice. Now, we should never borrow money to people out of emotional blackmail. There is no emotion in business. Check people around you who are emotional with their business. They don't stay in business for a long time. By the time Mathan was done with this guy, he asked him a couple of questions. Good, you love your sister and you love her husband, you want to see them prosper. But does your sister's husband, which is your brother-in-law, does he have experience for the business that he is telling you he wants to invest in? He doesn't. Does he asked him a couple of questions and all of the answers were no. So why do you want to risk? I told us that he saved 3 pieces of gold for 3 years that he's been in business. It means that the king has just given him 50 years of profit for free, because the king gave him 50 pieces of gold. It means you work 12 months and you save 1 piece of gold. Somebody gave you 50 at a time. The person has just collapsed your 50 years for you, 50 years profit, and handed it over to you in a day. What you need to do is to seek advice to make right investments. A lot of people have been broke, and all of a sudden they get one lucky money and then they lived so affluently, not applying wisdom to how they spent this money, and they went back to being broke. Wisdom is the principal thing. I'd like to also share with us a little bit of things that I wrote. I took out from, while I was reading this book, just a little bit of wisdom so that, we don't miss out anything. It is okay to help, but help must be given wisely. No one, family or friend, should make you feel guilty for not lending them money. Say no when you don't think that they will use this money wisely. You can give for free an amount that you can part with if it be lost. Your money is yours to keep and yours to give as you please. It is your reward for labor. Ensure to use or invest all the windfalls you get wisely. And now, last but not the least, better a little caution than a great regret. Chapter 7 is titled The Walls of Babylon. The lesson here is just one, but I'll just walk us through the story. So Babylon was attacked by Assyria, and this war went on for about 4 weeks. Babylonians fought so hard, and eventually they won because the people who attacked them retreated since they couldn't penetrate the walls nor the gates of Babylon. Now, what's the moral lesson from this story? You have to guard your finances from unexpected loss. Guard your finances greatly from unexpected loss. Things will happen. New policies will be made. The economy will go up and down, left and right, but it is your responsibility to guard your gold from loss. Chapter 8 is a beautiful, beautiful chapter. It is titled The Camel Trader of Babylon. So the chapter started with the story of a guy who was hungry, very hungry, and was running away from everybody that he was owing. And one of his, is it creditors or debtors now, the people he was owing money now, they caught up with him. And the guy was like, I got you, where's my money? But the guy was too hungry and worried to think about money. And the guy was like, but I don't have money. I don't have money, so and all of that. He was hungry, he was almost going to steal to eat. And the guy who lended him the money now invited him over to a restaurant where he wanted to, just sit and have a good time, and told him a couple of stories about himself. This camel trader, was a young guy in Babylon doing well for himself, got married to a very good lady and all of that. But he started to live above his means. He wanted to look good and take care of his wife. Then he was spending more money than he was earning. Before he realized it, at the beginning, he felt like he was balancing things out. And before he realized it, he couldn't balance things out. His wife had to go back to her father because of the whole embarrassment about the people he was owing. He had to flee Babylon. Now he got into a bad crew, and they started wrecking travelers and ships and all of that. The first one was successful, but foolish people or person he did not take his first loot and just go and look for a legal job to do. They just lavished everything and they went back to loot again, and that was when they were caught and sold off as slaves. And then he was sold off to a guy who had about 3 to 4 wives, and they wanted to make him a eunuch. But he was lucky enough that the eldest wife of the house liked him and made him a camel tender so that they can use him for travel trips and all of that. He told the woman all his stories, and the woman was like, "But you are foolish. You were living above your means. There is no sorrow is unending for whoever goes about borrowing." Yes, there is an adage that says, "He who goes a borrowing goes a sorrowing." You cannot live your life by borrowing for expenses. It's okay to borrow to make investments, like we said in chapter 1 and 2, but it's not okay to borrow to fund a lifestyle that that your current income status cannot afford. But in the event of things, this woman helped him to escape, and then he came back to Babylon. Since he had now a fair knowledge of, how to handle camels and all of that. It was easy for him to get a job. In fact, one of the things the woman told him was, go back to Babylon and face your fears. Your debt, as the money you owe, is your enemy. You have to go back and face it. Talk to the people you owe. Running away from your debt is not an honorable thing to do. But staying back to work and making sure you pay them, in spite of the shame that you may have to face, is a more honorable thing to do. So he went back to Babylon, got a job, that had to do with tending camels and all of that. And that was how he started his camel business. It didn't take a day, but he had to go back and face his fears. This story has a lot of morals. Do not borrow money that you want to spend on a lifestyle that you cannot afford. And if eventually you borrow money, you have to, if you've made the mistake already of borrowing money, you have to take the road that leads back to self-respect. It's a hard road, but you have to take it and make your payment. It is better to live an honorable life, because if you are careless with money, people will not consider you honorable. So take the road that leads back to self-respect and pay off all of your debts. Don't take debts for unwise reasons. Don't borrow money for unwise reasons. Borrow money to make investments. I have borrowed money in the past for stuffs that were not investments, and I actually learned my lesson. And I've also borrowed money to make investments, and I think I know which one feels better to pay off. So don't borrow money because you want to fund a lifestyle that you cannot afford. It is a very, very unwise thing to do. We have come to the end of today's book review. I know that you have learned a couple of things that will help you with your money life. From how to make investments when, the goddess of good luck blesses you with a windfall, to how you must ensure that you guard your money from unexpected loss, and to not borrowing if you are not using the money for investments. Please and please, your money life must change in 2023. And it cannot change if you don't take small steps. Take those steps. Start doing the right things that wealthy people learn to do way early. Else you would spend the later part of your life when you cannot actually work, regretting the risk or the things that you were supposed to do and did not do. The next time we talk about this book, it's going to be the last review we shall be having for this book. Yes. Please always drop comments below on suggestions of book that you'd like us to talk about. I love you. I love you so much. Have a wonderful day. Bye.